Well, we're pretty much through with this web control demo. If I switch back into the default.aspx page and just recap what we've covered so far, there is one more thing I want to add. We've seen how to use ASP.NET controls such as labels and text boxes and the drop-down list and the checkbox list and, of course, the button control itself. Well, you might have noticed in the standard tab in the toolbox, as well as having these sort of pretty much these are wrappers for the HTML controls, but as well we have some quite high-level, very rich controls such as calendar. So I thought it'd be quite cool to add a calendar to our web page to represent the person's date of birth. So in order to do that, we'll go back to the table and we'll add another row. We'll choose the second row and right-click and insert a table row below where we're currently at. Okay, and in the left-hand column of the new row, let's add a label. And the label, we'll set some properties. We'll set the ID to be birthday label, like so. And we'll also set the text to be birthday, like so. And now then, the calendar is going to be quite big, so I'm going to, well, let's just see if it'll fit into that cell there. Let's drag a calendar and drop it into this table cell and see what it looks like. Okay, so, well, we have a smart tag straight away, which enables us to auto-format this rich control. So let's click on there, and this is quite simple, really. Let's choose which formatting we want. Oh, that's quite nice. Let's go for that one, colourful 2. We'll click OK. And let's get rid of the smart tag, because I think we're done with that. Now, if we come down to the properties window, and let me just make this a little bit bigger, there's an absolute abundance of properties we can set on this control. Obviously, the first property we want to set is the ID. So let's go back up to the top and set the ID to be birthday calendar, like so. And also, let's see what other properties we can set. There's a property called day name format, where you can format or influence the format for the date as it's displayed on the calendar. So we can choose shortest, or we can choose first 2 letters, or we could choose full. That's a little bit on the big side, so let's just go for short. And we can also specify, let's see what else we've got here, first day of week. So for example, you might say that the first day of the week is Sunday, or alternatively you might say the first day of the week is Monday. Okay, so obviously this is quite straightforward, but it's quite important to get just the right professional look and feel for your website. Next, pre-format. So we could specify short month, and you can see what's done up here. It's actually specified the names of the months before and after where we currently are. Or we can go for full month, or we could go for just custom. I think I prefer that. Okay, so the various other properties, feel free to have an experiment yourself. Let's just run the application and see that it works properly. So Control F5 runs without debugging. There it is. So the birthday, I can go forward to next month. And wow, look at this. Great. Have a look down this area as I click the arrow. Every time I click the arrow, there's a post back to the server. It requires server-side processing to actually provide us or to regenerate the image for the calendar. That's probably not surprising. So we'll enter a name, so Thomas. That's the name of our little boy. And Thomas is also an adopted Welshman, and Thomas is also 8 because they're twins, and he can't program in anything yet, so we'll just go for J#. And his birthday is July the 2nd, so make a note of that, July the 2nd. And submit. There we are. So we're done with this example. We've seen quite a lot of stuff here. We've seen how to use high-level controls, such as text boxes and labels, and drop-down lists and checkbox lists, plus the rich controls such as calendar. And it's interesting just to, before we finish, to look at the source code that's been rendered for this calendar control. So I'll click on View Source. And, well, there's a lot of stuff here that we can just ignore for now. But I'll scroll down to the bottom and you'll see, wow, look at that. All of this HTML was generated by the calendar control at the web server. When ASP.NET told the calendar control to render itself as HTML, this is the HTML that the calendar rendered itself as. And it just goes to emphasize the benefit of using the high-level web controls rather than using the sort of low-level HTML controls that we started with. So that's the end of this lesson. We've seen how to use HTML controls, and we've seen how to use web controls and the increased functionality that they offer. What we're going to do in the next lesson is we're going to see exactly what happens when you run an ASP.NET web page. We'll have a look at the processing model, and we'll discuss events and see what's happening underneath the covers.